Director Deep Dive, David Lynch and Finding Beauty in the Surreal, written by Grace Smith.
We love mysteries. Life is filled with them, and some of them are very abstract.
Let's take a deep dive into the filmography of Hollywood's most famous surrealist director and discuss the various qualities that make his projects so memorable. Humble beginnings, art school, and short films. For David Lynch, it began with painting. While some artists know from the very beginning that their path is filmmaking, Lynch was simply enthralled with artistic pursuits in general.
So it's a little bit action and reaction. You know, you're experimenting as you go to get the thing to feel correct.
Born in Montana and then raised in various different states and cities across the Midwest, Lynch is unsurprisingly no stranger to the all-American mundanity that permeates the gleaming surface of many of his films. Over the course of many years, and after a string of other artistic academic endeavors, Lynch would finally settle in his enrollment at the Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Arts. Here, the artist would finally turn into a director, creating numerous short films, such as The Alphabet, The Grandmother, and The Amputee. All of these wrought with the eerie, evocative imagery that would soon pervade his feature-length films.
Please remember, you are dealing with a human form.
ABC! ABC! ABC!
Often inspired by the surreal and/or macabre works of prominent painters like René Magritte or Francis Bacon, these short works of fiction are so unique and visually poignant, it now seems that Lynch's absurd genius is an influence cocktail of its very own. Filmography, master of the cult hit. In 1977, the artist would release his first feature film, Eraserhead, a work that would baffle audiences for years to come. Largely considered Lynch's most experimental film, opinions are often divided between whether it should be considered a midnight movie body horror classic or an abomination of cinema. This divisiveness sets the tone for Lynch's artistic career, with his savage, striking iconography of fatherhood, fear, and regret. As weird as it gets, Eraserhead is a bold but beautiful first foray into Lynch's filmography. A testament to its pure eeriness, the late legendary Stanley Kubrick would direct the cast of The Shining to watch the film as a reference for the feelings of dread that he hoped to convey. How fun! His next film, The Elephant Man, would tap into a more traditional cinematic structure, while still fostering the roots of his signature style. Starring heavyweight performers like John Hurt and Anthony Hopkins, the film would go on to earn 8 Oscar nominations, including Best Director, and would ultimately act as the catalyst for creating the Best Makeup Academy Award after audiences complained over the lack of a formal recognition.
Perhaps you could love me as I am? I'm trying so hard to be good.
A remarkable meditation on deformity and the human condition, this movie is far more black and white, no pun intended, than the rest of his films. It certainly follows a more tangible line of symbolism and morality than his only other feature-length project at the time, Eraserhead, and acts as a healthy reminder of Lynch's expert grasp on the craft overall, not just in the hallmarks of his particular niche. In 1984, Lynch would write and direct a film adaptation of the sci-fi epic Dune.
Dune, a world beyond your experience, beyond your imagination.
Dune is memorable for many reasons, but we'll discuss 2 of them. First, this movie marks the first of many shared projects between Lynch and his frequent collaborator Kyle MacLachlan. Second, as a departure from form and a total commercial and critical failure, this is probably the weakest of Lynch's filmography. Often boring and unfocused, but still absolutely strange, Dune to Lynch's overall filmography is like a stain on a white t-shirt. Inevitable, but still disappointing. Fans of the original novel can expect redemption in the form of the up-and-coming new Dune adaptation starring Timothée Chalamet. Other works which are scattered across his career include Blue Velvet, Wild at Heart, Lost Highway, and Inland Empire. In Blue Velvet, he and MacLachlan's second creative collaboration, Lynch would formulate a tale of the dark underbelly of suburbia and brutal eroticism, all starting with a severed ear in a field. This film is continuously referred to as one of his cornerstone projects, pushing the boundaries of violence and voyeurism to the brim of expectation, and then some. The romantic black comedy Wild at Heart displays Lynch at his most playful, despite all of the, pure violence, touting a dangerously passionate Nicolas Cage and fair-cheeked but seductive Laura Dern. Lost Highway is described by Lynch as more of a fugue state than your typical psychological thriller film, trading orthodox logic for the looping madness of LA that he leads audiences into.
Who are you?
Give me back my phone.
His most recent feature film release, Inland Empire, delves completely into the untethered surrealism and experimental structural themes that Lynch had developed over the past few decades. Even the star Laura Dern, at Venice Film Festival no less, admitted that she was not sure what the film was about, as reported by BBC News. Among his works of contemporary genius is the TV series Twin Peaks.
Every day, once a day, give yourself a present. Don't plan it. Don't wait for it, just let it happen.
Whenever I watched Twin Peaks only a few years ago, nearly 2 decades after it was released, I was in awe of the way that it transcends aesthetics, time periods, and typical plot structures. Immeasurably strengthened by the haunted musical work of Angelo Badalamenti, Twin Peaks continues to be a totem of dark, tender surrealism and one of the most memorable murder mysteries of all time. Beginning with what seems to be a cut-and-dry question, who killed Laura Palmer? The series devolves into a tale of crime, sexuality, and some of the best melodrama of the 90s. With an infinitely addictive cast of characters, Sherilyn Fenn as the young coquettish Audrey Horne, Cheryl Lee as the enigmatic and ever-smiling memory of Laura Palmer, Kyle MacLachlan as the ingenious Special Agent Dale Cooper in one of his most memorable roles to date.
Nothing beats the taste sensation when maple syrup collides with ham.
In keeping with this era, his next film would act as a prologue for the series. Twin Peaks: Fire Walk with Me exposes the events preceding Laura Palmer's death, and finally gives us some insight into the captivating local sweetheart and the unraveling details of her final days. In 2001, Lynch would release arguably his most widely appreciated cinematic endeavor, the absurdist neo-noir masterpiece, Mulholland Drive.
No! No! No!
Hey, man.
Not only has the film earned long-lasting praise and a reverent cult following, but it continues to be critically analyzed for the innovative story structure, visionary composition, and seemingly unprecedented grasp on the surreal. Naomi Watts delivers, in my opinion, a career-defining performance as a hopeful ingenue embarking on an acting career within this warped Hollywood landscape. I think that with Mulholland Drive, all of Lynch's most quintessential qualities as a filmmaker come to a head.
Now you will see me one more time if you do good. You'll see me 2 more times if you do bad.
So easily, he uses visuals to convey the wordlessness of dreams, of memory, of regret. He articulates the way that humanity warps and shifts when held under a microscope, and the ruinous crevices that find clarity in this fresh new light. The work of David Lynch is so weird because it is so disturbingly familiar to the strangeness we subconsciously endure each and every day. Lynchian, beautiful absurdity, disturbing mundanity. David Lynch speaks the illegible language of the subconscious. The ideas and images that fade away in the harsh fluorescent light of reality are brought, disturbing but fragile, to the forefront of the story. Instead of merely viewing characters through the thick lens of film, Lynch plugs into the subliminal ideas which dance across their minds in the oh-so-familiar absence of reason and logic, a visualization of the grisly impulses that bloom within the pores of humanity, and the various delirious ways that we might sweat them out.
For a long time, you wouldn't feel anything. And then you'd burst into fire.
The director is currently working on a largely ambiguous television project under the working title of Unrecorded Night. Some fans speculate that this is all connected to a fourth season of Twin Peaks, while others think it could very well be the newest original Lynch series. Regardless, audiences can take solace in the fact that whatever project he embarks on next will be fantastically different from anything else that they could otherwise imagine. That's what Lynch films are for, conjuring images that might only form otherwise in the haze of a dream, or sometimes more fittingly, a nightmare.
You'll be all right in a minute.